Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 10:30. This is a special meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. And the first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the March 25th meeting. They have been distributed to the trustees prior to this meeting. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections on the minutes as we're distributed?
Move approval.
Second. A motion made and second to approve the minutes. Any additional discussion? The minutes are approved. Thank you. And the next item is some claims that we have encountered in the last month. Kathy, is there anything special on these claims that you want to talk about?
I would just point out, most of it's very routine. We do have 2 payments to Grocery Supply Acquisition Corp., which is the warehouse and distribution project we approved probably a year and a half ago or so, that distributes groceries to commissaries on military bases. So they've begun to show that they've created the jobs that were associated with that project, and we're making payments to them.
The payments are made on a performance basis.
Right, yes.
Make no payments until
After the fact,
After the fact. Okay, are there any questions or comments on the claims?
Where does that show up?
Where does it?
On the report?
It's on the second page at the very bottom.
Thank you very much.
The chair would entertain a motion to ratify the claims.
So moved.
A motion made and second to ratify the claims. Any further discussion? The claims are ratified. Next item on the agenda are some items for individual consideration. Item 4A, a change order number 3 on one of our projects in the south bank of the river. Kathy, is there anything you want to say about this one?
Yeah, this is a small change order for some improvements that we are doing on the south bank of the river. It's called the Meridian Landing Promenade. These are funded from TIF 4, the TIF district that we established for Dell Computers when it came to Oklahoma City. So there's representatives from Public Works if you have any questions about the specifics of the change order.
Are there any comments or questions? Yeah,
A quick question, and Eric, you may or may not be able to answer. This area came up for question yesterday at the River Trust meeting. As far as, I guess there's some areas out there that are not necessarily presentable.
Right. So some of the questions that were raised yesterday during the River Trust is there some trees that have died and some other maybe landscaping that needs to be replaced, and those are all covered by the contractor under the maintenance bond for the project. So what you're approving today is a change order that actually is adding some items. It's not to replace those trees. This is actually going to add some additional sod. There's an electrical service that's being upgraded. The project itself is substantially complete, but not final accepted. Once we final accept it here, hopefully in the next month, it's to be completed soon. The maintenance bond will cover, but any of the dead material that's there now has to be replaced by the contractor, and that will be done here in the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any additional questions on item 4A?
No, but would move approval.
Second.
I have a motion made and second to approve item 4A. Are there any additional questions or comments? Cast your votes, please. And item 4A is approved. Thank you very much. Item 4B. It's final specifications on a traffic striping project. Is this anything you'd like to say about this TIF project?
This is a specifications to advertise to purchase a different kind of street striping. If you've noticed downtown, we're having trouble with having the striping adhere to the streets, and it's coming up. It's pretty noticeable, especially on crosswalks. So we've had to find a different kind of striping so that we can get it to stick and it all looks nice. It looks pretty bad in a few places, so this will allow us to fix those problems.
This may be a question.
Did I get that right, Eric?
Yeah, thank you. I think I can shed some more light on this. Obviously, in Project 180, we had 5 bid packages that are complete. There's another package that's underway. One of the things that we experienced is a type of striping material that we use is called thermoplastic, and it's something that's widely used. It isn't a new product. We use it predominantly on asphalt streets, and it's throughout the city. So it's something that performs very well on asphalt. What we found in Project 180, though, and this isn't just something the city of Oklahoma City has experienced, but the city of Norman, Edmond, and even the state, ODOT, has also experienced problems with its adherence to concrete. especially if the concrete is smooth. And so in downtown, one of the things that you'll notice is the concrete is very smooth. It does not have ridges that the paint can bond into, so it has unfortunately peeled up. We did have the contractor do some selective replacements in the last year, but it didn't last very long. The one solution that they offered was they needed to grind the streets to give it something to bite into, and we were just unwilling to do that on a brand new street. So other communities, Norman, Edmond, and the state, and we're kind of following their lead, have replaced it with a different kind of paint system called a multi-part polymer. It's basically a two-part, like an epoxy-based paint. And we're simply going to remove the existing thermoplastic stripes and replace those. So this was no fault of the contractor. We did specify the thermoplastic with expectations that it would have lasted 7 or 8 years before it needed to be replaced. It only lasted a couple. But this new paint system's been tried and true. You'll see it on a lot of the state highway systems. It's the black and white alternating striping that you see on most of the interstates. And pretty much you're going to find it on all concrete streets generally in our community. So this is an annual contract. We will use it. The estimated cost to replace the striping downtown is somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000. You'll notice in the memo that we're asking for more than that. We plan to use this on other city projects, not using the same funds from this organization, but we'll use it on other agencies with funding that's available to do other replacements as needed. So with that, with the approval of the contract, we'll send it out, and we hope to be able to replace those very soon to get those stripes and those crosswalks, as Kathy mentioned, the stripes that are down the middle of the street replaced and have them upgraded.
Are there any questions for Eric? Eric, I've got one. How does the cost compare between what we've been using and what this is?
The costs are actually almost identical. The difference is the drying time of the two-part polymer is a little bit longer. So when we close a street, it's going to have to stay closed just a little bit longer than we would with a thermoplastic. But most of this work we're planning to do over a weekend when traffic volumes are very low, so we don't anticipate much of an inconvenience to the public. But
Could this striping be used as well on asphalt as well as concrete?
We'll probably continue to use the thermoplastic on asphalt just because the drying time is a lot quicker, and we just don't have any problem on the asphalt streets.
Are there any additional questions? Chair would entertain a motion to approve final specs.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Item 4B, are there any comments or questions? Please cast your votes, and item 4B is approved. Thank you. Item 4C is final acceptance. We've finished something. We ought to feel good about that. Kathy, would you like to say anything about this project?
This is the acceptance of Bicentennial Park that was completed as a part of Project 180.
Any comments or questions? Yes.
Yeah, comment. Didn't we have quite a bit of discussion before Bicentennial Park went in about how beautiful it was or was not going to be, and et cetera, like that? And there was some negativism about the park and its design.
There was quite a bit of discussion about it.
Quite a bit of discussion. Has there been any complaints about the park? My wife and I walked down there the other night to go to the Civic Center, and we were just amazed at how beautiful it was and how it turned out. And
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't either. That was kind of a smart aleck thing to sneak in here. But I think that the park did turn out good, and whoever was responsible, your department, the people from the arts community were involved, and I think it came out real well, and I think the public is really excited about it.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think it is a beautiful project now, and I've heard good comments about it. A lot of the concern had to do with the trees, and that seems to have been gone away. There's nobody making comments about trees anymore. So, any additional questions or discussion on item 4C?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and approved, made and seconded to approve item 4C. Is there any additional comments or questions? Please cast your votes. And item 4C is approved. Thank you very much. Item 4D is waiving consultant selection procedures and approving joint contract for engineering services. These are some citywide streetscape projects. Kathy, anything you want to say about these?
Eric might want to explain this. It appears that we're trying to enter into a citywide contract that'll have a variety of funding sources. The Economic Development Trust might be one of those in the future, and it's just to develop the specifications for streetscape improvements so that they're consistent throughout the city.
And I think to add to to just some of the downtown growth is that as these projects and these earlier packages mature, the maintenance bonds on those early work packages are starting to expire, and we anticipate additional future maintenance needs. We're also receiving other development requests in downtown that are wanting to do Project 180 style enhancements, and in some cases it may just be a street corner. In another case, it may be an entire block, or it may just be for the development address. But this is going to be a contract with the A&E. This is Howard Fairbairn Site Design, who did most of the work on Project 180 originally. So the reason for waiving the selection procedure is they have all the details ready. And for a fee of $15,000, they'll actually put together a package that we can send out for bid and receive quotes and obviously competitive bids from contractors to do work when it comes up from time to time. This would just, again, be replacement work or any new work that we might be coordinating with a new downtown development.
Are there any questions, Eric?
Eric, this is sort of similar, but what's the status on the sewer covers, the manhole covers, and our original intent of having it being almost place markers? What's the latest on it?
Those are still being included as a part of the future work packages, and I think there's in excess of 50 of those that were placed in packages 1 through 5. On the city's website under Project 180, there's actually an interactive map that shows you where each of those placemaking opportunities is. And so there's some that are actually on the City Hall site. There's several throughout the downtown area. And I think just as a reminder, each of those marks a specific historical element of Oklahoma City's history. They look like a manhole cover, but they're typically located in the sidewalk. If you look at them, they're actually a map of Oklahoma City downtown, and there'll be a silver marker that is kind of the X marks the spot. But if you'll read around the ring of the cover, it's not covering a manhole, it's actually just cast into the concrete. It'll tell you what happened there in time. So there's over 50 of those, so we'd encourage you to go to okc.gov and follow the links to Project 180, and it'll tell you where all those are.
Any other questions of Eric while he's here, talking about this project? Anything we wanted to ask Eric that we always wanted to know about? Okay.
Thank you.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve Project 4D.
So move.
A motion made
Second.
and seconded to approve Project 4D. Is there any additional discussion or questions? Please cast your votes. And item 4D is approved. Item 4E is a little more complicated, but it's things we've been doing before. This is a joint economic development agreement with the City of Oklahoma City and the City Center Development LLC to provide assistance in the development, financing for the Level West Mosaic Residential Apartments project in the area of North Oklahoma between 2nd and 3rd Street in the amount of $1,150,000. This is a TIF-sponsored project. Kathy, anything you want to say about this one?
This project is going to be developed east of where Level is now. Yeah. Richard McCowan, the developer's here and can talk about it. It's 97 units, and the agreement is that we will provide $1,150,000 in development assistance to him for the project, and in the agreement he's agreed to a minimum tax payment. That's one of the ways that we make sure that we get our TIF allocation back over time. And Richard, if you want to add anything else about the apartments or details about the project, that'd be great.
That's pretty much straightforward. It is under construction. It's just west of Oklahoma Avenue, basically the west wing of the Level apartment community, and it's going along quite well with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of interest in the project.
How many units are you building there?
It's 97 apartment units, and it has a retail coffee shop in it. We have 2 to 3 different operators that are interested in the ground floor retail space.
And when will it be open?
We're shooting for, with weather delays, we're now probably about October 20th, looking at a completion date.
Very good. Are there any other questions, Richard? Thank you very much. Good luck on your project. Are there any other questions or discussion on item 4E?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve item 4E. Are there any additional comments or questions? If not, please cast your votes. And the item is approved. Thank you very much. Item 4F is a actually a renewal of something we've been doing for some time.
This item is authorizing the general manager to negotiate an agreement with Tapstone Energy for a strategic investment program allocation. Tapstone has been in discussions with the city and the chamber and has agreed to add 150 new jobs to Oklahoma City over the next 5 years. And their first year average wages for those jobs is $146,000. So these are very high-paying jobs that will be located in the downtown. Greg Dewey with Tapstone is here, and I think he has a brief presentation that he'd like to go through for you.
Very good.
First of all, thank you. I didn't know anything about this program until just a few months ago, and definitely appreciate city leaders for investing in our future that way. This is the first startup I've been a part of, and they're not cheap. So we do hope to add 150 jobs, plan to add 150 jobs over the next 5 years. We think that after our third year payroll will be about $18.5 million and over $100 million local economic impact. Just quickly about Tapstone on slide 3. Oh, that's me. Do I just right click? And then right click again. So on the next slide, slide 3, just tell you a little bit about the company you may already know. Founded in September of 2013 by Tom Ward. Tom loves Oklahoma City and loved being downtown with Sandridge, and that was one of the important parts for his next company. I put in there that we're private equity backed. If you've worked much with private equity firms, they generally do not look favorably on capital expenditures. And so that has been one of the that's what's made this program so beneficial to a group like us. We focus on distressed assets, and you will see this throughout the slides, but focus on underdeveloped oil and gas assets. We've made a purchase in Kansas. I'll show you a slide on that. It's probably the in vogue thing to say these days, but our focus really is on the most important resource, which we believe is people. And so it's not just about bringing people to Oklahoma City, but we believe we'll bring the right kind of people to Oklahoma City that will be fully vested, fully committed, and not just be consumers, but be contributors. It's to be a part of Tapstone, you've got to give back in some way to Oklahoma City. Culture, you'll just see, we're a collaborative culture, put team first. Liberation may be the one thing that pops out as far as building blocks, but really just this idea of releasing stored up potential. Something that's holding it back. We plan to do that with our assets, and we also plan to do that with our employees, and that's our exact same strategy in community relations. I mentioned that Tom loved being in Oklahoma City, downtown Oklahoma City in particular, and wants to continue his commitment to downtown Oklahoma City. We have found in the last 2 companies that we've been a part of that recruiting talent is easy to do to downtown Oklahoma City. People want to be here. There's a lot of current and then future transportation options that we're excited about. The residential living, thanks to people here, is fantastic. Urban living is great. Shopping, entertainment, the Riverwalk, so many incredible things there. We wanted to be a part of the excitement for years to come. We plan to be in our new building for quite some time, and we wanted to be part of the excitement of this core to shore. We're probably just outside of that, but we're going to get to benefit from it. And then we are going to do a building renovation in Bricktown, which is a complement to our culture. You've heard me say once, and a couple other times in here, you'll see this idea of releasing distressed assets. Well, we're going to have the ability to take a building that was built in 1919. Nothing's been on the top 3 floors for 60 years, and we'll be able to help that building maximize its potential. We've bought 1 asset so far, but hopefully we'll buy many more. The first one is in Kansas, over 500,000 acres that we got from Shell. Plan to spud our first well in May, and currently have 30 producing wells. We'll drill 17 just in the remainder of this year, and hopefully 36 the year after that, while continuing to as you see on page 6, acquire and develop hydrocarbon resources throughout North America. Our focus is going to be west of the Mississippi River. There's a lot of gas being collected right now in the Marcellus and the Utica, but there's transportation issues to get to the west. So we've seen a role reversal. We used to have excess supply on the west side of the Mississippi, and how do we get it to all the people on the east? That's flipped. Now there's excess supply in the northeast, and it's very difficult to get here. So that's where our focus will be, identifying acquisition opportunities of established profiles. So history for us, predictable, low-risk development opportunities, which I think makes us just a little different. And once again, you see this idea of taking things that are maybe distressed or out of favor with some of the public companies, and we believe that tremendous growth is in our future.
In Kansas, what formation are you drilling into?
Mississippian.
Mississippi line?
Yep.
It's the old field, so you're...
Old fields, a lot of vertical, again, you see history is important to us, a lot of vertical production there that gives us a lot of confidence.
Tell us a little bit about your new building, or your renovation.
Yeah, extremely excited about that. Again, built in 1919, it's beautiful old warehouse space, and true to our culture, we're hoping to have a very open, transparent floor plan, and so we're doing some things to try to get as much natural light in there as we possibly can, so that you'll walk in and just be, again, beautiful open seating. We think our building, our company has the potential to grow pretty quickly, and so we can have 8 people out in the open or 28 people out in the open. Any other questions? There are some things I can't talk about quite yet due to some confidentiality agreements, but those will expire soon.
Can you tell us when you might move into the building?
The hope is February, March of next year.
Are there any other questions? Comments? Well, good luck to you.
Thank you, guys.
We're delighted to have Tom Ward back in the business. Very good. Any additional comments or questions? Chair would entertain a motion to approve item 4F.
So moved.
Motion made and second. Is there any additional discussion? Please cast your votes. And item 4F is approved. Thank you very much. Item 4G is Economic Development Agreement. Do we have a presentation on this one, Kathy?
I don't think we have a presentation. We do have a representative from the developer that's here. If you want to come forward and tell us a little bit about the project. They've been approved for a $3 million allocation of TIF funding from the downtown TIF district, and plan to build 300 and some units.
We're at about 329 units right now. We're also building a 445-space parking garage to go with that, and the project will include just shy of 5,000 square feet of retail space as well. With Millhouse, we're an Indianapolis-based developer. We've developed similar projects like this in Indianapolis, Cincinnati, various cities across the Midwest. This will be our first project here in Oklahoma City, and we're excited to get it going. We're finalizing, I guess in terms of the timeline, we're currently finalizing our construction documents. Goal is to begin construction late June, early July, a 20 to 24 month construction timeline, which puts us delivering our first units in the fall of 2015, final completion in the winter, shortly thereafter.
Very good. Very good. Good luck on your project.
Very good. Thank you.
Are there any additional questions or comments? Chair would entertain a motion to approve item 4G.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any additional questions or comments? Please cast your votes. And item 4G is approved. Item 4H, Economic Development Foundation quarterly report. We have a
Kurt Foreman with the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce is here to provide a report to the trust.
Well, good morning. We don't normally meet in the morning, but it's good to be with you this morning. You have a couple handouts, and you received the report electronically in the packet from Brent. The 2 handouts were a couple of the items that we've printed or produced during the past quarter. One is our economic forecast that Eric Long, our research economist, does with some other partners in the area. It's a great document, both promotional and informative. I urge you to look through it, share it. The story's a great one. If you've heard Russell Evans speak lately, he talks about the I-35 corridor being one of the most vibrant parts of our national economy, and thankfully we're right smack in the middle of that. So I think that's bears repeating over and over. As far as our quarter went, this is our 3rd quarter of the calendar or the fiscal year with you all. We are on track on nearly every front, even though we've had some transition of staff. in terms of engaging in retail, in visits, in jobs. We're doing very well. The only slow part of our process in the past few weeks or months has been the inquiries have dropped slightly. They're not down far, but they're down slightly. But the good news is the quality of the projects we're working on right now are some of the best we've worked in a long time. And as you saw between Tapstone and a lot of others, there's a lot of great things that are or will be happening in the coming months and years. We have some great projects right now, aviation, manufacturing, renewable energy, all sorts of great things going on. Last time I spoke with you, we announced that our retail person, Jessica Herrera, had left to go back to El Paso. Today I'm pleased to share with you that in 2 weeks our new retail person will be starting. Tammy Fate is her name, F-A-T-E, and she's joining us from the staff in Tulsa. She's been the city recruiter for retail in Tulsa for the last few years and already knows Oklahoma, already knows many of the retailers we're targeting, and will be accompanying Kathy and a whole team going to ICSC in about 4 weeks. So she'll be on board in time to go to the big show, if you will, that we go to as a community. And that's always a highlight of the year. We're also in the very busy part of the year for sort of outreach and evangelism, if you will, in terms of going out and telling our story. I leave Saturday for a corporate real estate conference in North Carolina. We're gearing up for the Bio Show, which we do every June, and we'll be in San Diego with about 80 people from Oklahoma. Our delegation here in Oklahoma City leads that. We will be in ICSC, I mentioned before. There's just lots of those events going on. We are engaging more and more of those on a regular basis. So in terms of some of the other highlights that I think I'd want you to be aware of, we've had a good opportunity to start some international outreach. I was able to go to the UK just a few weeks ago with a vice president of supply chain from Devon Energy. We were invited to come over and share a bit of the success story of what's going on here in central Oklahoma and Oklahoma City. And Gary Varney, who's the VP of Supply Chain at Devon, was one of their keynote speakers talking about shale gas and about how we've successfully built things around that, including the GE Global Research Center and all those different things. And we were very well received and had already had a visit by some of those folks to come here and learn more, so that will continue to become a pipeline, if you will, of communication and contact with other energy companies from around the world that hopefully will someday have a presence here in our area. I guess I'll leave it in case there's any questions. The report does a good job of laying out all the sort of metrics. There are a few metrics that at this point in the year we don't have numbers for. They usually come out at a different point in the year. But in many respects, we are at or above. In many cases, we've already exceeded the goals we've had for the year in terms of investment and things like that.
Are there any questions or comments? Well, we appreciate your efforts.
Thank you, as always, for your support, and we enjoy working with you. Thanks.
Thank you. I guess our action would be to receive the report. Is that correct? Okay. Do we have a motion to receive the report? Motion made and seconded to receive the report. Are there any further discussion or questions? Please cast your votes. And the item is received. Thank you very much. And Kathy, I guess you're on for the next one.
Yeah. At your place was handed out a copy of the third quarter report for the Alliance for Economic Development. Just to kind of hit some of the highlights that are on the first page. We've been very busy working with the city staff this year on MAPS 3, and in particular on the Convention Center Hotel. The council has approved the next phase of that process to retain a consultant, which is the city's financial advisor. It's a firm called Public Financial Management, to do a financial feasibility study for the hotel so that we can get a little bit better idea of if a subsidy is needed, how much it would be, and how we might go about funding that subsidy. So we're beginning to work with the consultant already and are trying to schedule stakeholder meetings for late in May. Some of the other things that are still, that we're still working with the city on include a MAPS 3 parking study. Parking continues to be a big issue in downtown Oklahoma City, and it will be, I hope, for quite a while because it shows that we're growing and companies want to be down here. But what we're looking at is a parking study that looks at all of the different demand generators that are going to be created by MAPS 3, like the convention center, the hotel, the park, and they're all in pretty close proximity, and they're also adjacent to where we would like to see a lot of private investment happen related to the MAPS 3 projects. So what are the parking needs for the area, and how can we place parking garages strategically to meet that need in the future? We also have to replace some parking that we're going to lose, the surface parking for the Thunder games and things like that. So we need to take all of those different kinds of things into account because we're building the convention center where the Thunder parking is. So all of that will be a part of this study. We're also working on a convention district master plan, which is really to look at the density and land uses in and around the new convention center so that we make sure when we go and talk to developers or when they come to us, they can know what our expectations are about how tall of the buildings do we want, what kind of density, do we think it's office or residential, or those kinds of different issues. So again, and parking will have to be a part of that process as well. We assist the city with acquiring all of the property for the MAPS 3 projects, especially the park and the convention center. So all of the property for the North Park has been acquired, and we're beginning the process to acquire property in the South Park. And we're also helping the city with the process to acquire the property for the convention center. Some other things that are still that we're still working on include working with Tinker Air Force Base on the possible acquisition of the BNSF rail yard. That project is still being discussed, and ongoing meetings are being held all the time. GE Global Energy Research Center is being constructed on a piece of property that is owned by the Urban Renewal Authority. We have entered into a redevelopment agreement with GE and have agreed to provide them with a ready site. So we're in the process of advertising for the demolition of the utilities and the streets and things that were a part of that site and have since been closed and vacated. There's a lot of moving parts to that project right now. There's a lot of utility relocations going on and zoning and all kinds of different projects that are related to GE. One of the big things that we kind of rolled out in the last quarter was a plan to create a new TIF district and a new urban renewal area in Northeast Oklahoma City. We have a developer who's interested in building a mixed-use development at the corner of 23rd and MLK. It's a more than $20 million development, and so in order to make that development happen and other things happen in Northeast Oklahoma City, we've begun work to create a new TIF district. The council has passed the resolution to appoint a TIF review committee, and so all of that process is beginning. We're doing a lot of internal planning efforts and preparing the kinds of documents that you need to create both the TIF district and the urban renewal area. Page Woodson is a high school that's located at about Northeast 6th and High. It's been vacant for, 25 years now probably. But it's, the school district owned it. They've sold it to a local developer. We own a great deal of the property around Page Woodson, the Urban Renewal Authority does. So we've issued an RFP, it went out yesterday, to redevelop the rest of our land around that building. So that's been an interesting project, and we're working closely with the city on some other projects related to the Strong Neighborhood Initiative that's being run by the planning department. We also issued an RFP on the property that we own at 4th and Chartel, and we received one response that we are in the process of evaluating. On the retail front, as Kurt mentioned, we've been working to get ready for ICSC. I've been trying to reach out to developers and people that might be at the conference that would be interested in Court Shore or downtown. And we continue to work on the Northeast Grocery Store that's part of that development at 23rd and MLK. This is, the last little bit is a list of some of the buildings and projects that we've worked on in the past year or the past quarter. The Journal Record building, we have entered into a real estate purchase agreement for the redevelopment of that building, and they're in the process of doing their due diligence right now. We're working with Don Karchmer, who has a lease for some property in Bricktown for the possibility of developing a parking garage on that property. It's a very complicated project, and it's going to take some time, but it is continuing to move forward. Some of the others you've heard about, North 10th and Chartel. We have proposals on a property we own at Lee and Couch that we're evaluating. A new redeveloper was designated for the Flatiron Building. The Flatiron Building is at Harrison in Oklahoma. It's a little triangular shaped building as you'll go by it if you get on I-235 from downtown. And so we have a new developer for that building. It's going to be redeveloped into office. So we're glad to see that they're going to be able to do a historic renovation of that building. On an administrative front, I hired a new vice president of operations during the last quarter. Her name is Denise Balkus. She joins us from the Denver area, where she was a real estate manager for a nonprofit real estate development company. And just a couple of weeks ago, we hired a director of community development. His name is Michael Owens. He's helping us with community engagement and outreach plans for Oklahoma City. He's the former director of the Ralph Ellison Library at 23rd and MLK, and I think he's going to be a big help with us as we work on some of these bigger projects in the Northeast and in other parts of the community. So with that, I'll be glad to try to answer any questions.
Are there questions, comments on the report? Kathy, looks like you bedazzled with your footwork again.
All right.
How many people do you have over there now?
I think we have 11.
Still enough space for it.
Yeah, actually, it's the same head count as when I got there. We've just changed some of the positions that were there.
So our duty right now is to receive the report. Or any comments or questions?
Move acceptance.
Have a motion made and second to receive the report. Are there any comments or questions? Cast your votes. And the report is received. Thank you very much, Kathy. Item I see 5 now is general manager's reports. That was included in your packet. Are there any comments or questions about the report?
I'd like just to add a few things to you. We have currently, coming up in May, in our next meeting, we have a Baker Hughes contract, a GE contract, and now a Tapstone contract related to our SIP program. And then in May, we'll have another TIF contract for the Bricktown area for the 4th Street apartments. There's another phase 2 that we're working on. Then I was just going to tell you today, there's a TIF review committee meeting this afternoon, and there'll be 4 additional projects that TIF money will be probably recommended for allocation. One of them is the Plow Building in the Bricktown area. The other one is the Midikey Building, which was discussed previously today. I-89 School District, some funding for their administrative building. And then the Capitol Hill Library is also going to be getting an allocation of TIF funds more than likely. So I just wanted to make that make you aware of that.
Any other comments or questions? Brett, thank you very much. Pardon me?
There's a lot going on.
There certainly is. Are there comments from the staff? Comments from the trustees? Comments from the public? Hearing none, we are adjourned.